What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and today I wanted to show you 50 tips and tricks you may not know about your brand new Apple Watch. And this includes some hidden features, basically stuff that you can't really see from the surface. This is more detailed usage of the Apple Watch. I'm going to skip over the most basic features. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with those already, but I'm going to go ahead and show you some of those features that Apple hasn't advertised very well. Now I'm sure anybody that watches this can leave knowing a few new features you did not know previously. So real quick, I want to get you guys oriented with all of the buttons and basic operation. This button right here, the power button, if you double tap that, it'll go ahead and bring up Apple Pay. I don't have it set up, but it's a really quick way to get into that. Easily go back into the last application you were using just by double tapping that crown. This is a feature it took me a while to discover. Just double tap it and it shoots you right back to the last application. Now if you go to the clock view and you're over here and you double tap it, again, it'll bring you to that last application. Easily take a screenshot just by pressing both the crown and the power button together, just like that. And it appears on your iPhone, of course, slightly enlarged, but it will be in your photos on your iPhone. Now, if your Apple Watch is unresponsive, you can force reset it by holding both the crown and power button and holding them for about 10 seconds. Your device will reset and restart accordingly. If you guys are inside of an application, and I know this doesn't happen often, but if it does, if an app becomes unresponsive, there's one way to force close that app without needing to hard reset. Just hold the power button to bring up the menu and then hold it once again, keep holding it, and that app will close. Now when you open it up, it starts fresh. Now to drag an application is very simple, very similar to the iPhone. Just hold on an app, make sure not to press too hardly, otherwise it activates force touch. Just grab the icon and move it around. Now it's a little bit simpler if you do it off of your iPhone, but again, it's very simple to do. Now to delete an app, of course, just have it in the view, and it has to be a third-party application. You can't delete stock apps. Now all you have to do is click the little X, and it can be hard to do. And if you delete it from your watch, it does not delete from the iPhone, just from the Apple Watch. Now if you guys have a whole bunch of notifications in the notification view, all you guys have to do is hold onto one and select clear all. As simple as that. You don't have to go and slide through every individual one to clear them, and there you go, no more notifications. Now in order to set default weather pages, as you know, it goes to the default one. You guys have to do that actually in the Apple Watch app on your iPhone and select default cities. So it'll automatically take the one from your current location where you're at, but you can go ahead and set it wherever you want it to be. Now by default in the weather, you're going to get little icons of the current weather. Tap once, you get the degrees or Celsius. Tap once again, you get probability of rain. Now if you force touch, you can select from this little menu right here. Now when bringing up the glances in the clock view, you get this little menu right here. If you guys actually notice, this button will ping your iPhone. It'll let you know in the vicinity of where you are, where your iPhone is by sound. Now if you actually hold the button, not many people know this, if you hold this, it'll actually ping it with the flash as well. So if it's in a dark room, it helps a lot. Now this can be done either from the iPhone or from the settings in the Apple Watch, but if you go into settings, general, accessibility, you can actually enable voiceover or zoom. And now this is a triple click feature, so when you triple click that digital crown, it'll actually zoom in for you, which is pretty handy. This screen is really small, or it'll read stuff to you with voiceover. Really nice. Now, also in the settings, if you guys go into sounds and haptics, you can adjust the haptic strength on your device. So here you go. You can actually select this guy, make the haptic less noticeable or more noticeable if it's not noticeable enough for you. Now, if that's not enough vibration for you, you can actually go into the Apple Watch on the iPhone settings and go into sounds and haptics and enable prominent haptics. So this will ensure you can feel that vibration on your wrist if you just can't feel it. Now this is a feature you can enable after immediately waking your device, and you can disable it. Hey Siri, and Siri will come up to help you. So Siri can actually launch applications as well. So if I bring up Siri right here, launch settings. So your Apple Watch can actually be used to launch applications. I know if you have a lot on here, they can be hard to reach, hard to zoom in on, so it makes life a little bit easier. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually dismiss Siri when you launch her just by saying, never mind. And there you go, Siri will go away on its own. And that's not limited to never mind. You can say piss off or go away and she'll get the message. Now, sometimes the message quick replies do not do the trick. So it makes sense to have some options to actually add your own custom replies. So if you actually go into default replies, you can replace the default ones with custom messages of your own. Now in the messages application, you can actually create a new message just by force clicking and selecting new message. Now you can actually send a friend your location when within a text conversation. Just force touch in here and select send location. It'll send that to your friend. You guys can actually use an iPhone feature inside of the messages application. If you have a lot to scroll through, just tap the top of the display and it'll go ahead and zoom to the top. Now when sending in an emoji to someone, if you actually go into the emoticons all the way on the right, you'll have your most recently used or most commonly used over here. And if you actually go to these guys, of course you can scroll through them to change the emoticon, but if you actually force touch, it changes the color. You have a little bit more options over here, so really cool. Now here's a pretty neat feature Apple really hasn't talked about, and it's handoff. If you're using an app on your Apple Watch, you can actually hand it off to your other device, your iPhone or your computer. As you can see right here, I can go ahead and click up on this, use my Touch ID, and it'll open up in the very same conversation on my iPhone. Now you can quickly and easily silence calls just by placing your hand on top of the Apple Watch, just like this. Now it doesn't actually stop the call, it's the same effect as pressing the power button once on your iPhone, it just silences it. Now default on the Apple Watch, when you raise the actual watch to your wrist after deactivating it, it'll bring up the clock face. You can actually go into settings and then go into general, and then scroll down and select activate on wrist raise, and in here you can actually make it so it displays the last used application instead of just the clock face. So when it goes black, it actually goes up to the last application instead of just the watch face. The music app is kind of limited when it comes to control, but you can actually force touch inside of the music application and it'll bring up an extra set of controls where you can decide a source, you can AirPlay it to something, and there's a couple other buttons over here. Now as an added bonus, you can actually control Netflix with your music application. This will control Netflix if you're streaming to a display. Really neat. Now whenever dictating a message inside of messages as a reply or creating a new message, it'll always give you two options, either send as a message or send as a voice memo. Now I never send as voice memo, so it's kind of annoying having to click an option all the time. However, inside of the messages settings on the iPhone app, you can actually select a default in here. So always dictation or always audio right here. It'll save you some time. Now not a lot of people know this one, and it's extremely useful. So whenever using this guy on your wrist, of course, you can just put your other hand over it no matter where you are, and it will turn the display off. Not only that, you'll be at the default at the clock face, and if you click the digital crown, you'll be at the home screen. So you don't have to click it 3 times to exit one application and then center this guy and then go back to the clock face. It saves a lot of time just to be in an application and then click this guy, and boom, you're at the default. Now when replying using Siri, you can use this little trick to save a little bit of time. So let me just send a quick reply and just tap the display and it'll send the message right away. You don't have to click the little send button over there. A really neat way to save a couple seconds. Now when inside of the calendar, if you're actually inside of a date, you can actually force touch to switch between a list and a today view. Now, of course, you guys can force touch on any clock face and customize it. So you can change the color, the amount of information you want displayed. This one's not very customizable. Something like this, I really like. It's the most customizable one for me. You can put a whole bunch of information anywhere you like. So force touch, customize. You change the colors, the location of the information, really nice. Now, when actually using the Astronomy clock face, there's a couple things I've noticed. For one, the amount of refinement in here is awesome. If you actually zoom out of this clock face or zoom into it, it'll actually turn into the Earth. And not only that, if you're actually in the other one right here, the sun view, same thing. It'll actually zoom into the sun, which is a really nice little touch of refinement. Now in the Astronomy clock face, if you actually go to the constellation view over here, just double tap on the display and it'll bring up the actual planet overview over here. So it gives you a name of all those, double tap and it goes back. Now when actually receiving a call, you don't see any other options, but if you actually slide up, you now have an option to send a quick reply and answer on your iPhone. This is an option that you wouldn't usually see if it's just down here. So slide up, you have those options. Now, if you guys actually want to make a straight line out of apps, let me show you how to do it. And you can actually make some really unique layouts with this. So I love how you can customize it truly. And just to show you guys, you can actually go all the way around with one icon. So you gotta just play with them for a little bit. As you guys can see right here, I'm creating one line layout. So you always have to have another app right there. If you want to go up, you got to keep adding more. But you can create really nice icons, just outlines. It's a little tricky, but you can create one layer app icon layouts. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually use the power button when using the camera on your iPhone as a viewfinder. On your Apple Watch, you can actually use it as a camera shutter button. So it's a lot more comfortable than tapping this tiny little icon on the screen. Now, to delete emails, all you guys have to do is slide over and select archive. and that's it. It'll delete that email or put it in the archive. Now, what this little red dot right here means, it took me a while to figure it out, but basically it just means you guys have notifications. So when you have that, that means you do have new notifications up there. Now, you guys can actually group friends in the friends view if you don't have enough to fill all 12. So you can group several up on top and several down below on the bottom. Really cool. Now, this is a really neat feature. Will save some time. Select unlock with iPhone in your My Watch settings and passcode settings. So whenever you actually unlock your device, it'll keep your Apple Watch unlocked. Now, this isn't for everybody, but if you guys run, you're active, you don't like running with your iPhone on you, you can actually put music onto your Apple Watch without the need of a computer. Simply go into My Watch Music, and then in here, Synced Playlist. So find a playlist on your iPhone or make one with a certain amount of songs. I think you can add up to 2 gigabytes, and you can go ahead and select it, and it'll sync it to your device so you can play that music with Bluetooth headphones without the need of an iPhone. Now, there's only a limited amount of memory on the Apple Watch, so it makes sense to keep track of everything that's taking up all that memory. In general, in usage, in here you can see all of the actual apps and how big they are, how much memory they're taking, so you can delete which ones you don't need accordingly. Now, you can do this through both, but in the Apple Watch settings, if you actually go into brightness and text size, you can adjust the text size, because if you have a 38mm watch, things can be hard to see. If you click over here, you can actually adjust. There are 6 notches that you can choose from. Make the text larger or smaller. Now, in the iPhone settings, do not disturb, you can select mirror iPhone, so that when you enable do not disturb mode over here inside of control panel, it mirrors on the iPhone and you no longer get notifications on either, or you can just choose to strictly have it on the Apple Watch. And just a quick tip, if you guys are in the friends view and you hover over a friend and you click on them and they have a little hand symbol in here, I don't have it, it means that the other person has an Apple Watch. None of my friends do, so I can't show you guys that, but it is there. Now, I actually wanted to mention a couple power saving tips at the end. I know the battery life isn't great. For me personally, I can get a full day of use and still have like 30% at the end, but if you want to maximize that battery on the Apple Watch, make sure to use dark clock faces. So brighter clock faces will drain more battery life like this. Black and yellow colors will save the absolute most battery life on the Apple Watch OLED display. And of course, we have power reserve mode. So hold that power button and you can enable power reserve mode, which pretty much puts the Apple Watch to sleep. It's only used as a watch, nothing else. Now, you can also save a lot of battery life and a lot of frustration by filtering notifications. By default, almost every single application that's installed will have some sort of notifications. Well, in here, you can choose which applications you would like to send you notifications, which ones you wouldn't. And if you guys actually go into settings and then workouts, or workout over here, there's a power saving mode. So it doesn't automatically scan your heart rate every 15 minutes or so. By disabling that, just want to make sure you know that is turned off. And another one to actually save battery life, if you guys go into general on your iPhone and then accessibility again, in here, if you enable reduce motion and reduce transparency, they will save battery life. And an extra one is grayscale. So it'll actually turn your whole Apple Watch black and white. And that does help with battery life. However, it completely ruins the experience. So that's like last resort if you absolutely need every second. So guys, that's just about it. Just one last tip is that Apple recommends you calibrate your watch. If you guys are going to be using this for outdoor runs, any sort of exercise, Apple has a page where they have instructions to go ahead and calibrate the Apple Watch to yourself. You're going to use GPS, you need an open field to do it, but I will drop a link down below in the description where Apple has laid out the instructions to do so. So guys, that's just about it. I know a lot of people are receiving their Apple Watches or will be throughout the next few weeks, so I just wanted to lay out some tips for you guys, some hidden features that you may have not known about. Hopefully you learned a thing or two in this video and now you are an Apple Watch Pro. So thanks for watching guys, have a great day and enjoy your shiny brand new Apple Watches. Peace.